looking at lesson 49. L equals log base 2 of n, and n equals 2 to the L. Are those basically the same thing? One is in log form, and one is in exponential form. Does that make sense? Okay. This one is solved for L, right? But this one is solved for n. So when you graph them, you sometimes have to rewrite it to be able to graph it. Otherwise, you'll have to graph it different. Like, normally we have y equals 2x plus 3 or whatever, where it's like y equals something, right? So our L is like our y, and our n is like our x. Does that make sense? But do you know what log base 2 of a number is going to be? So you would have to rewrite it, correct? You'd have to make it what? N equals 2 to the L, or x equals 2 to the y, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to let this be my x plus n, right? X and n are the same thing. I'm going to let this be my y, or my L axis. What numbers would you want to plug in? 0? What would you get if you plugged in 0? Are we going to plug it into our x, though? What would you get if you plugged in 0? Does that make sense? So I'm going to plot that. Does that make sense? What other numbers should I plug in? Should I plug in 1? If I plugged in 1, what would I get? You see how that works? And plug in 2. What would you get if you plugged in 2? You see how that works? So that's x equals 2 to the y. Does that make sense? If I had wanted to graph it from the exponential form, it'd make more sense to say y equals 2 to the x, right? Because it's already solved for n, and I can easily plug it in. Does that make sense? Which is going to change the shape of the graph. So basically, like, flip-flop my variable. You just have to pay attention. Like on this one, I plugged in for y, and on this one, I'm going to plug in for x. Does that make sense? You still get the same point. It's just flip-flop, basically. So depending on where they have their y and their x's will depend on what graph you actually have. Does that make sense? We'll see how that works. Well, it depends on which one you were graphing. It would depend on which one you were actually graphing. Like where you, like on this one, I changed it to be y equals 2 to the x instead of x equals 2 to the y. I like switched my variable. They'll tell you, they'll put it in terms of y. And you have to make sure to pay attention to which variable are you solving. And like only plug in, like if you y equals 2 to the x, then you're plugging in for your x. But if it's x equals 2 to the y, then you're plugging in your y. Does that make sense? So usually they'll give it to you in terms of y. So just make sure to pay attention to what you're supposed to be graphing. If you have it in this form, all right. These are backwards from what we already know. If you have log base c of m times n, you can make it into 2 logs by splitting the m and the n, putting a plus sign. Remember on logs, plus sign means multiply. Well, if you have 2 things that are being multiplied together and you want to split them, you just say log base c of m plus log base c of n. Does that make sense? So if you had like log base 3 of 4x, you can make it log base 3 of 4 plus log base 3 of x. Does that make sense? For this one, what would it become? That's a 4. If you wanted to make them into 2 logs. Log base 3 of 4 minus log base 3 of x. Does that make sense? It's going the other direction. They're going to ask you, they'll give you 1 log and they'll tell you to expand it. Like it'll be something like that. And you'll have to expand it. For this one, the exponent, you just move it in front. So if you had log base 5 of x to the 4th, it would become log base 5 of x. And where does that 4 go? Right here. Does that make sense? That's what you've already been doing. It's just going the opposite direction. You might have already figured that out.